Donato driving. Here today we have, as I just mentioned, the Donato Bolis family, the Kulesh family, and representatives from the Kubert family. This law is named Kulesh, Kubert, and Bolis, and it's named after 6 New Jersey residents, 5 New Jersey residents who have lost their lives as the result of people driving and texting. Their stories are heartbreaking, and I don't think we can tell those stories often enough. Elderly Elizabeth resident Helen Kulesh, who's right here, was crossing the street as a pedestrian, going to the grocery store in her own neighborhood, when a driver who was texting ran her over. 79 years old. She was killed. David and Linda Kubert could not be here today because they had to move to Florida for care. Both in a motorcycle, hit by a man who was driving a truck, who was texting at the time. 3-year-old Mia, is that right? Mia is here today, right here in the front row. Mia lost her mother and her brother a year ago, when her mother, who was 9 months pregnant at the time, who was due to have a baby in 2 days, was hit by a driver who was texting. Their family is here today. Helen's picture on the desk, and Tony Donato Bolis also on the desk. We're here to remember what happened to them. We're here to thank those families for standing up and telling their story time after time and reliving that story time after time for a good cause, and that is to protect other people from senseless, random deaths and injuries. The statute itself is not an enhancement of penalties, and the Assemblywoman is going to talk about that in a minute. The statute itself just increases the tools available to a prosecutor to charge reckless driving. If you drink and drive, you're reckless. The prosecutor can charge you with that. Now, if you text and drive, you can be charged with reckless driving. Ask these families what the drivers of the cars that killed their loved ones were charged with, and you will hear traffic tickets. That's simply unacceptable. Simply unacceptable. And this law gives the prosecutors the tools they need to charge what really happened the day these family members were injured. So, it's vehicular homicide. It doesn't change the law, it doesn't enhance the penalties, it just adds into the crime of vehicular homicide, recklessness involving texting while you're driving. The crime is a second-degree crime punishable by imprisonment of 5 to 10 years, a fine of up to $150,000, or both. It also allows for a reckless charge to be lodged against anyone who's texting and who just hits someone in their automobile. That's a 4th-degree crime. If serious bodily injury occurs, more than just a ticket can be charged. More than just a traffic violation can now be charged by the prosecutor. If you wouldn't drink and drive, ladies and gentlemen, you should not text and drive. And if you have any doubt about that, I invite you to talk to the families who are here today, who have stood up for their lost family members to make this crime, this statute today, a reality. I personally want to thank them and have a chance to talk behind closed doors. I invite the family to talk to the reporters because you can't get the message out often enough. Thank you so much. I pledge to you that we will help you in every way to continue getting this message out. We have 2 Assemblywomen here. First, I'm going to turn it over to the senior Assemblywoman, Assemblywoman Quijano, for a few remarks, and then Assemblywoman Liscano.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. I can't be but a little emotional today. This bill is something that occurred in my own backyard in Elizabeth. And every day I would see a memorial with lavender flowers and wonder what happened. What happened in my neighborhood that I didn't know about? And then one day, John and Joyce walked in and they told me the story. And what I really appreciate about them is it didn't matter how many years it took to get here. We're here today, and I had promised them that I would work. And I couldn't promise them when we would get here, but I really appreciate the Lieutenant Governor signing this today, and I apologize for the tears, but this is, as I said, an emotional moment. The Kulesh, Kubert, and Bolis bill is about making people accountable for their actions and minimizing cell phone distractions related deaths and injuries. The lives of families like the Kuleshes, Kuberts, and Bolis will forever be affected by the death and the injuries. But their struggle isn't in vain. Because of what happened, I really can tell you that they are a testament to New Jersey values. They made sure that none of us forgot. And they made sure that they made calls to every legislator, chairman of committees, the leadership, to make sure this bill moved. And that's what's important, to make sure that if something occurs in the state of New Jersey and you have something to say about it as a citizen, you have a right, and you should contact your government officials to make sure that things like this doesn't happen. Something as simple as going to the grocery store should not be a death sentence. We should all be able to cross the street. We should all be able to feel safe as we drive on the turnpikes and the parkways and the streets of New Jersey. So I want to thank you. Later on, the families will talk with you and discuss what has happened. And I really want it to be in their voice. I don't want to tell you what happened. Talk to them, because it's really an eye-opener about how people who want to make a difference made a difference, and how government reacted and made sure that today happened. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I just want to congratulate the families. This is your day. This is a historic moment, and I just want to thank you so much for bringing this to our attention. I just also want to say that this is a very important day for all of us. We want to let people know in the state of New Jersey that texting and driving, or talking on the phone and driving, is dangerous, and it does cause lives. So, and finally, I want to say that people who insist on using their cell phones or texting while driving, they're just menaces on the road. And no phone call, no text is important enough to risk the life of another person. So I just want to thank you very much. I also want to thank the leadership of the Assembly, and as well as the Senate, and of course the Lieutenant Governor for signing this bill, for letting us know that this is something important that needs to be addressed. So thank you very much.
So I'm going to end with, in case you didn't know already, green is the color of distracted driving, and that's why the family members are wearing green right now. They want to call attention to their cause. Thank you for that. Obviously, I did not get the memo, so I apologize for that. And also, I want to say that it just doesn't make any sense to me. If we can have a public service announcement saying, you know, don't drink and drive, or check your keys at the door, there is just no reason in the world we can't have check your keys at your text, your cell phones, your wireless devices at the door, and this time it would be the car door. So I hope that you all over here on this side of the room get that message out for us. Thank you for coming today, and I invite the family to go out and tell their stories. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.